Today, let's explore a blueprint for a totally new kind of university education. One that's, less about memorizing the right answers and way more about learning to ask completely different kinds of questions. We're going to dive into this new vision for what a university could really be. So, what if instead of starting with dusty textbooks and long lectures, your education began with a series of really challenging questions? The kind of questions designed to completely unravel the world we think we know. For instance, who really pays the price for what we call environmental progress? I mean, when a beautiful new eco-park is created, whose home, whose land, whose history was sitting right there before it? Or how about the clothes hanging in our closets right now? What if we actually looked past all the slick marketing and the glamour to see the hidden costs and the invisible labor stitched into every single shirt, every pair of jeans? And what if, get this, we could develop a kind of intellectual GPS to navigate the biggest questions of all? Like, how do you find your way? How do you find meaning in a world that so often just feels completely uncertain and chaotic? Okay, so this entire educational model, it's really built on one single foundational idea: learning how to transform genuine curiosity into meaningful action. It's all about building the skills to not just care about the world's problems, but to actually do something about them. And this is the core concept that makes it all possible: systematic inquiry. You can think of it as the methodological spine of the entire curriculum. It's a practical, repeatable toolkit that literally builds a bridge between feeling passionately about an issue and having the power to make a real difference. So how does it actually work? Well, it's a process that anyone can learn. It all starts with that basic human spark of curiosity, that little voice that says, I wonder why. But then it grounds that curiosity in a real method. Students learn how to design ethical research, how to wrestle with the messy, complicated data of the real world, and, crucially, how to translate their findings into something actionable. We're talking a business plan for a social enterprise in Bangladesh, or maybe a policy proposal to tackle urban flooding. And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the ethical heart of the whole approach. See, research isn't just about extracting information. It's about building relationships. As the educator Paulo Freire put it, it's about developing a critical consciousness, which really just means constantly asking yourself, am I here to simply observe, or am I here to understand and collaborate for change? All right, so with this foundational skill set of systematic inquiry under their belts, students can then apply that critical lens to deconstruct some of the most complex systems shaping our world, starting with the very idea of development itself. Let's take a course called Green Dreams. It forces students to hold the promises of development right up against its often hidden costs. So a project might promise sustainable development, but on the ground, it can look a whole lot like land grabbing. So-called climate adaptation projects can sometimes leave the most vulnerable communities even more vulnerable. The key point here is to always be asking, progress for whom? And that same critical lens then gets turned on an industry that touches pretty much all of us: global fashion. The course, called Glittering Failures, kicks off by posing one simple, piercing question.
And the answers, well, they reveal this vast global machine. Behind all the glitter, you find poverty wages and environmental devastation. You start to see how advertising literally works to manufacture desire, how these narratives of empowerment can be used to mask exploitation, and how the sheer complexity of global supply chains makes the human labor at its heart almost completely invisible.
So after deconstructing these huge external systems of production and desire, the curriculum makes a really crucial pivot. It turns that exact same critical lens inward to explore the worlds constructed on our screens and the search for meaning within ourselves. The Dream Screens course teaches students how to see what's hiding in plain sight. When we binge a Netflix series or scroll through our feeds, we're not just consuming stories. Or engaging with these powerful, constructed fantasies that tap into our deepest desires and anxieties, often without us even realizing it. A key tool here is something the brilliant cultural critic Bell Hooks called the oppositional gaze. It's such a powerful idea. It's about learning to watch back, to resist the way a camera or a story tries to position you. It's the shift from being a passive consumer of media to becoming an active, critical interpreter of it. And finally, the curriculum lands on the most personal and profound question of all. This is the whole focus of Existential GPS, a course designed to equip students to navigate the fundamental challenges of just being human. What's so amazing here is that it doesn't just stop with the classic European thinkers like Sartre or Camus. It puts them in direct conversation with decolonial thinkers like Frantz Fanon. And this forces a much harder question. What does freedom even mean when your very existence has been systematically devalued by colonial power? So, after moving through all of these challenging, transformative courses, what's the end goal here? What kind of person does this education actually aim to create? The goal isn't just a knowledgeable graduate, but an engaged one. We're talking about someone who has the intellectual confidence to ask the hard questions, but also the humility to know they don't have all the answers. They can connect sharp analysis with genuine empathy, and most importantly, have the skills to turn all of that into meaningful action. And this leads to the ultimate takeaway, a really profound shift in perspective. Research, inquiry, critical thinking, these are not exclusive tools reserved for academics in some distant ivory tower. Instead, this curriculum argues that inquiry is a fundamentally democratic tool. It's a skill that anyone can learn and use to better understand their world, to challenge injustice, and to make things just a little bit better, one careful, courageous question at a time. Which leaves us with a final and pretty vital question to think about. This isn't just a syllabus, it's a proposal for how we might equip a new generation of thinkers and doers. So if this is the education we provide, what kind of world could its graduates possibly build?